Celebrating 25 years of compelling business stories. Good evening to you. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Welcome to business. The Finance Ministry has begun the process of disbursing the latest Eurobond cash. This was after funds hit accounts of the Bank of Ghana last Tuesday. George Rafi has been following up on this, and he joins you in the studio with more. George, welcome.
Thank you, Rafi.
So could you give us some background to this Eurobond?
Well, remember that 2 weeks ago, the Ministry of Finance, they began a roadshow. They ended up closing the whole arrangement in London, where they're looking at raising about $3 billion. In terms of bets that came, we had almost $13.5 billion. Now, the minister said that they are going strictly according to what was approved for them by Parliament. So they stuck to the 3 billion Ghana cedis that they were looking for. Now, before this finalization of this whole Eurobond exercise, the Ministry of Finance did some advanced borrowing from Standard Chartered Bank, one of the banks helping the ministry to raise this fund. And what they were trying, the whole idea about this Eurobond was how they can go out there, raise cheaper funds, and finance old papers or expensive debts. Now, the last Eurobond that was issued was a little bit expensive than what they issued now. So they tried to do something they call refinancing, use the cheaper funds to pay off or buy back the other bonds that have already been sold to investors. And so in terms of the real amount that has hit the Bank of Ghana account, we're looking at somewhere around $2.5 billion.
That's less than the $3 billion.
Because, but the bank has actually taken out $500 million that actually they advanced the Ministry of Finance before this whole roadshow exercise.
So now the money is stashed in the Bank of Ghana's account.
Yes,
which areas is it going to?
Now, again, you'll be asking where the minister will be directing these funds. Now, if you go through the prospectus and further engagement that we had with the finance minister, 1 billion of that amount should be going to help restructure the energy sector agreement and the debts, you understand? But there are issues about how these independent power producers agreements were structured. Now, if you are trying to abrogate some of the contract, you have to pay them off. A fraction of that amount will be going into paying off these independent power producers. We're going to look at paying off some of these energy sector debts that we have. Another 1 billion will also be helping them planting for food and jobs as well. And then the other ones, you're also looking at other commitment like Minister has spoken about this year being the year of roads. So a significant amount of the funds are also going to go to some capital expenditure, being roads and the certain critical sectors of the economy. So these are the areas that, based on the prospectus and engaging the finance minister, the funds will be directed to.
Can we explore briefly the impact on the economy?
Well, before I also look at the impact, I mean the drawdown. So it's not that the ministry can just go to a Bank of Ghana, give me my money. It's a process. Now, if, for instance, you're talking about roads out there, they draw their funding from certain banks. So if the Ministry of Finance makes a request to the Bank of Ghana that we need X amount of money to finance this project from the Eurobond cash, what they're going to do is that they're going to transfer those funds to the correspondent banks that are funding that project. So it's several processes. It's not just that they go to the Bank of Ghana and then withdraw the money. In terms of impact on the economy, one is about the reserves of the Bank of Ghana. With these funds hitting in, you'll be looking at over $11 billion. And that gives some surety to investors that the Bank of Ghana is in a better position to support the city and finance our imports. So you're going to deal with those sentiments where people are rushing for dollars when they don't need it because they are not comfortable that come the next month, the Bank of Ghana will be in a better position to support the Ghana
Which means a further appreciation of the Ghana cedi.
It could solidify what we are witnessing right now in terms of the performance of the Ghana cedi and maybe further appreciation. Remember, don't forget that we are in the period that many people will call the pressure season, where normally the Ghana cedi depreciates. We're not seeing that right now. So it looks like this coming in will deal with that sentiment issues where you have people rushing to buy dollars when they don't need it. Also, talking about the year of roots, if these monies have come in, then it means that those contractors who are waiting for these funds to come in
will be paid.
Could also be paid one way or the other. That could also help improve liquidity in the banking system.
Thank you very much for that update. My colleague George, we are bringing us up to speed with the latest Eurobond cash, which has hit the Bank of Ghana's account. Away from that, government has inaugurated 7 technical working groups to formulate a local strategy for the implementation of the Continental Free Trade Agreement. The group, which is expected to begin work next week, will make significant input into the national strategy by government towards implementing the Continental Free Trade Agreement. Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Kwadwo is of the view that the group will meet specific timetable for the program. Ebenezer Sabote has more in this report.
7 technical working groups are trade facilitation, trade policy, enhancing productive capacity, trade-related infrastructure, trade finance, trade information, and factor market integration groups. According to the Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Trematin, the outcome of the work from this committee will be part of a national strategic plan by the government to take advantage of the most ambitious trade agreements on the continent. The minister charged the various groups to ensure that the policy document to be presented conforms with local industrial policies.
Framework for the CFTA is only providing a market access opportunity for African countries that have ratified the agreement to take advantage of the African market. But it doesn't mean automatically that once you ratify the agreement that the benefits of the CFTA would accrue to you. You have to have a national plan that supports the private sector in your country to develop the productive capacity to access the type of financing that would enable them grow their businesses. You need an action plan that will identify specific market information on products that can be exported to different countries. You need all these interventions to enable you benefit as a country from the CFTA.
Minister for Information, Kojo Nkrumah, urged members of the committee to prioritize the agenda of boosting intra-African trade beyond the agreement.
Because the real agenda that we have here today is to set up these committees that will help recommend to Ghana and for Ghana to come up with its action plan for boosting intra-African trade. It's not so much even the broader CFTA agenda, because touchwood, even if that agenda should fail, boosting intra-African trade is one that must succeed. And that is what we have been called to the table to contribute to. Now, your role, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, is to contribute to the solutions, to the ideas, to the way forward. Sometimes we have experts all over this country who don't participate in the solution making, but are very often out there throwing ideas into the public space. We are happy to bring all of you to the table and to put you into these committees and pray you to contribute to the solutions and to the ideas. These are large committees. Sometimes large committees can get engulfed in so much discussion and analysis and nothing gets done. So we're going to ask the committee chairs to push for us to get the specifics that need to be done within the timelines that we are looking for.
The National Steering Committee is to be chaired by the Acting Chief Director of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Patrick Nemo.
That's all in the first segment of business. I'll be back after 8 with more business news. Have a good evening.